So the first part of the first guaranteed round, after the first after the second round, there's always a chance the turn may end, but the first and second rounds are guaranteed pretty much. Portugal failed once more to make it around the Cape, and Cabral is back here. Columbus failed to make it to Cuba, which is where he was heading next for an attempt to colonize, made it back to the Canaries. In both cases, they took some losses, 40-50%, reverse respectively. The Spaniards only spent $10 this turn, moving Cordoba into place here. The Habsburgs, they get free minor campaigns no matter how much they like. It's just they have these two major campaigns that they can use that are kind of on hold. But right now, they got a traffic jam right here. They can't really push forward in Italy, but they are sliding an unled force, which is kind of a problem. I think I'm going to actually... Hey, I've got more leaders. I gotta send this guy forward, because this guy's got to command the bigger force. So he has enough movement points to get there and join up with them. Not taking any attrition, just pushing forward to try to cover the French force that's up here. But now we're on the Turks. And the Turks are also only going to spend a minor campaign. Yeah, so you don't want to send your privateers out early is one of the things. You probably want to send them out in the second round just in case things end, because you don't want to not use them like I did last turn. But if you send them out too early, someone can patrol for them for a longer period of time and knock them out more easily. If you send them later in the turn, there's more of a chance they'll actually do some harm. Anyway, with the Turks, we're only going to spend $20 for them because we only have one attack to make. You'd kind of want to charge straight through to Syria. And if there were no Mameluke armies, yeah, that's exactly what I would do. I would march in, drop a force here, drop a force here, siege both of them. It's a tougher decision when you're facing a big army there. Speaking of which, I forgot to roll for reinforcements for the Mamluks. What's their modifier? Yeah, it's real hard, and this is always happening to me. I'll probably be doing it throughout the game, maybe not making you watch it as often. They've got a big old +2 on there, so let's see what they get. They're going to go in the defensive, so you get to see a different format here. And they got a 5, which is going to be 2 detachments and a fort. 2 detachments is enough to give them another army. They took a half army in there and upgraded it. They've got this force here just to prevent a naval invasion of Egypt from like knocking them out. They're also going to get a fort level, and they're going to place that in Damascus, which is only level 1 right now. So I need to dig up a counter and put a level 2 fort. That'll make it harder to siege. It's a hard call, because the Turks, if they take Damascus and there's no battle, all of the Mamluks fall. But I think they're going to kind of play it safely. And let's see, we can move all their units, we just can't move them into opposed territory. I'm not quite sure what to do with my units. I don't want to get my navy stuck out there, for example. But I can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Set up a siege of Aleppo. There are interception rules. I don't know if I want to intercept here. I don't know if I want to fight the battle this early, because if that army's destroyed, the war is essentially over. So that also is a reason to keep things kind of out of play. I don't know if I want to move everything forward. I think I'm good with this. Okay. So let's lay my siege This guy's no good. This guy's got troops. Does this guy have troops? I don't want to bring him with me if he doesn't. Some of these don't have any troops at all. All right, so now we get to look at what a siege table is going to work with, and you just roll it right away. I mean, as long as you took some kind of campaign, and it could just be a minor, a 10-pointer, you can keep going with the siege. So, gotta find that thing. There's the siege table. Level of the fortress is just level 1. There's no penalties there. There's not really any bonuses. Now, in order to siege, you need 10 times its size, which in this case is just a detachment could do it. So, right now, we're kind of at even. I don't have a leader with a siege bonus. The Grand Vizier has one, but he's not up there. I have a specific other A-ranked leader there. So, I'll roll on that table. I get a 4. That gets me a user minus. That's going to give me a bonus on my next siege roll. Making it a little bit easier. And, you know, I'd really like to get this war over in one turn. You always do. But it's not worth taking a lot of risks to do it. Okay. And I don't know who goes next. France. Alright. I gotta think for a moment with France. Okay. My decision here, I spent, I think I marked it down, $20 for France to take a minor campaign. That's what they really need. And my goal is to make the war in Italy happen. Yes, Artois is sitting here kind of open, and it's very, very tempting. Of course, I no longer really want it. It's not one of my victory conditions anymore. And I need to get moving. If I take Milan, maybe I can force the Habsburgs out of this war and then just push my way through those neutral Italians that I have a rite of passage for because of this event. Oh, it's so cloudy out. All right, and everyone else, what do they want to do? Well, I've got things kind of best covered here. Foix is my best leader. So he's going to march forward, pick up a Savoyan unit, and march in. Now there's interception, but there's no combat avoidance. And I can't intercept with these guys because there's not stacking room for them. So Spain is going to have to fight with that force. Spanish conscripts that they built up in Milan. Perhaps foolishly, to tell you the truth. On the other hand, let's see what else we got here. I do want to try to slip this through. Now I've got a single squadron at Squadron 1 that I'm going to try to get out. I'm going to take my dude with me. It's kind of risking Gonaville, but I think the interception chances are pretty low from a fleet in port. I don't really remember. Well, it's in here somewhere. And yeah, there's a lot of rules to this thing. Okay, interception right in front of me. I had it set. C-zone. A stack can be intercepted only by a stack in the same C-zone, including from an unblockaded port. And the modifiers, difference in the maneuver values. -2 for being in a port. Okay, so, and poor weather would affect this. So, I've got like a -4. I need an 8. I can't see him. He's going to slip through, and I'm going to get to do some exploration with him. I don't know how far I'm going to go. I think I'll just try to get here. That's one space. We'll roll that. Why not? Even though it's not what I really want to highlight right now. What was he, a 4? So he's just got a -4 to the table. 6-2, he takes some losses. So I lose a French transport ship. Transports are cheaper, so I can do that. And now I do the land exploration at the same time, in which case I'll drop him off. He gives me a 4. Oh, he didn't go so well. He has a 50% chance of failing. Odds he succeeds, I guess. I don't know what the... Oh, they actually have it here. Reroll on here. Okay, so we get a 9. He gets a success. Great. So I'll mark those on the map in a moment. And they may have taken a missionary along. I don't know if French missionaries are helpful in this circumstance. Every country's missionaries are a little different. Okay. Because he may want to create a colony there. The problem is, that's a colony that would be kind of would be in violation of the Treaty of Tordesillas, which means once that's established, Spain can just go in and destroy. Well, it is established. Spain can just go in and destroy it without a declaration of war. That's, right now, not a terribly big deal, but it would be once they're at peace. Of course, it's also kind of out of Spain's main line of exploration, so maybe it's safe. Fisheries are nice. Okay. I'm going to leave him here for the interception coverage. He can't really move anywhere useful. I'll pull him down to Ile-de-France. I'll pull him all the way down to Champagne. Help cover my border there. We're set for a fight. Okay. In order to do this, like everything in this game, you need to do some paperwork. So now I have French Army 2 here, which is a 1610 with 2 artillery. I've got the Savoyan infantry, which I will mark down if it starts taking losses or whatever, but right now it's a 9-1. Those are what most of those tend to be. And against them I've got a Spanish Army 2 and a Milanese infantry. The Spanish Army 2 is a 14-6 conscript. Well, what do we do? Okay, well, first thing we do is the fire phase. Naval combat's a little different because you got to worry about the wind gauge. But here, I've only got one person who's firing. The French are the only ones who are allowed to fire. They have a 2-point... I got to remember the order. Yeah, it's the middle number. They've got a 2-point firepower and a leader who gives them a +2 on fire combat, I believe. I think that just modifies in. It's not compared to the opponent's firepower. Okay, we also have a technological difference here. That's the naval. For land fire, it's Renaissance firing against medievals, which means he'll be using table C over here. Modifiers. Did he cross a river? He did not. He came through Savoy. No, positive differential between the leaders. So that other leader's fire combat value gives him a defensive bonus, and they end up at 0 there. That can never go negative. Can it? No. Sure. So here we go. And he's only got 2 strength points. He can't do a lot of damage here, but he can do stars. And stars are important because they're morale hits. He rolled a total of 5. That does 5%. 5% of 2 is nothing. So he's done no damage yet in that round. Now we go to the shock round. This is going to be simultaneous. Now, I really need a scrap of paper to do this. Looking for something. There's something up here I can use. Okay. Because I need to add up the total shock value of these forces. Now, I'm trying to remember if cav count double. I seem to remember that they do. So, I'll pretend that they do. Army 2 has 16, 18, and 20, 38, and 9 is 47, and 2 is 49 points for the French. That's because I'm adding the Savoyans in, right? Okay. For the Spaniards, we've got 14 and 12 is 26, and 9 is 35, and 2 is 37. So they're a smaller army. Use the blue and white die, so that way I can remember who's who. And both have 4s, so neither one's going to get an advantage in combat unless there's a cav advantage. How much cav do we each have? The French have 10, 11. The Spanish have 7. It's not twice as much, so it's no bonus. So now we look here, and this is going to be for shock combat. And it's Renaissance versus Medieval, uses table A. Medieval versus Renaissance uses table B. Okay, so the Spanish are going to be using a worse table than the French are because of their technological disadvantage. Okay, and now we just roll. And these are big 10-siders. There's a lot of variety on this chart. You get a lot of luck on a battle. So let's see what we get here. So the French got a total of 7. The Spanish got an 8. There's no modifiers on either one. A 7 for the French is 25% and a star. So we pull out our handy calculator because you cannot play this game without one. They're going to do 12 hits to the Spanish and a morale hit. The Spanish got an 8. They're going to do 30% and a star. They did 11 hits. Those losses are going to be removed from the paperwork on the cards, but here's the problem. Let's take a look at what our morale is. Medieval morale is only a base of 1. Renaissance is a 2. In addition, the French, and for that matter the Milanese and the Savoyans, are all veteran quality units. That means they get an extra point of morale. So the French could take 3 morale hits. The Spanish can't. They can only take 1. They're medieval quality, and they're conscripts. So now we have a pursuit round. Now, battle just continues in rounds until somebody breaks. I don't think there's a retreat after battle, if I remember the game correctly. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe one round you can. Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the combat. I'm going to have to look into that because you may have to break somebody in one round in order to win. Otherwise, both sides retreat. Okay, so it's only a single round then. Okay, but we have a retreat, and that means we have a pursuit. Now, pursuit, I believe, is always handled on table E over here, which is, if I'm not mistaken. Pursuit or chase. Roll on table E with differential of leader's maneuver values between pursuer and pursued. So now we look at their maneuver, and Foy is not as good as that mercenary, so he gets no bonus on here. But he does get another chance to hit. And I gotta take a little moment because I gotta look up. I remember pursuit having maybe different damage ratings. Well, not exactly. I was wrong about the numbers, though. The numbers for both fire combat and shock combat, artillery's always doubled. I'm not going to worry about it too much. It's harder to go back and calculate than do that. So I'm going to just make another roll. Now the French have taken 11 losses. They probably took it all off infantry. I'll give them the extra 2 points for their artillery in this case, though, so they got a strength of 40. Hey, that makes it easier to calculate, probably. And they Spanish lose 20%, so they're going to lose 8 more strength points. And I seem to remember there being a requirement that those be cav. I have to look that up, but I think if they're not cav, they're doubled in losses. All right, I'll do the paperwork. The Spanish are going to have to retreat from this battle, and a retreating unit has to go to the closest unbesieged thing. If it leaves the province where the combat is held, it's going to take attrition. however far it goes. And this is going to be column 7. So these forces are going to have to retreat back here to 4. They can reach there. They might be able to absorb into the other force if they're small enough, but it doesn't really make a difference. If they can reach, it's not going to affect their attrition. So now we go to the attrition table. Now this is also used if you move too far. It's always used in naval movement, but if you move too far in land movement, more than 6 movement points, you have to roll on here. Now for a modifier on this, the maneuver value of the leader, now that Spanish mercenary had a 4, so he subtracts 4 from his roll. And he's fine. He succeeded in withdrawing. I'll do the calculations and the paperwork, and then I'll come back as the round progresses. I'll probably have to do another video for all the rounds after this, just because, well, I don't know. There's not much room on this, but the rest of the turn shouldn't take very long. Ah, well. Oh man, I forgot something. There's the general's casualty here. So pursuing losses. I still haven't found that. I've got to look to make sure. That may be something from another game I'm thinking of. But we've got to make a roll for the general. Now, if he gets a 1 or less in either case, the general's injured, possibly wounded, sacked, killed, whatever. But because the Spanish lost, he has a -1 on it. You get a -1 if you're a very, very good shock combat commander. That usually indicates you're leading from the front. A couple exceptions to that, like Frederick. And then if you lose your entire force, you get a major, major shift there. Alright, so nobody's actually injured. The retreat went as planned, and I just have to subtract the troops. But I really do have to look to see if there's any restriction on subtraction. Well, I was right and wrong. There is a rule, at least on pursuits, but it's artillery, then infantry, then cavalry must be lost. So, I think it's Empires and Arms that has that. You have to take cav losses, or you'll take double losses. Anyway, I haven't played either in a long, long time. So, I'll mark those suckers down. 20 losses for the Spaniards, 11 for the French. And you can see, combat can be fairly bloody. And if you look at some of the other possible results, we could have gotten up on the high end of the table with good leadership, etc. 75, 90% even. 90 is pretty unlikely. But that's of the firing player. So a small force is going to have a tough time. Even if they're better morale, they might break the enemy, but if they're significantly smaller, they might get wiped out because, 10% losses might be enough. Anyway, I'll do the bookkeeping. Okay, because losses are pretty much freely attributable, what we have left is one detachment of Spaniards with 6 cavalry and 4 infantry left. They wiped out their Milanese. And the French took their Savoyans. Now, they kind of made a mistake. They could have grabbed a bigger army of 20 Savoyans. Would that have changed their morale, though? No, they would have still had a higher morale. So, they probably should have brought that bigger force in, but it's okay. They won the battle, but they would have done more damage in that shock run. Now, they get to do a siege. I might as well roll that since I'm speaking. Should be no modifiers on theirs. It's only a level 1 city. Oh, is there a -1 for that? I don't remember. It's per level? Yeah, there's a -1 for the fortress. I may have counted that last time. 4. It's a user minus again. I forget so many damn things. There's also a victory point factor to these. In this case, it was 2 points because it was a kind of medium-sized battle. A small battle, no matter what, you get 1 point swing for. As long as there's an army or fleet present, it's 2 points. If it's a major battle, if both sides combined have lost at least 50 strength points, in this case we're talking 31 with the losses, without attrition counting, but the pursuit counts, it would be 4 points, and I believe there's also a stability change in that. I'd have to look that up. But in that case, France would have slid up 1 and Spain down 1. There's a big advantage to having that technology, isn't there? Of course, the French also had a lot of other bonuses. The better quality and more troops. And just to finish things up quickly on this round, Venice didn't want to do anything. Most clearly, it was the question of what to do with the Mamluks. Like I said, they don't really want to come out and fight quite yet. They don't mind losing Aleppo because they have such weird conditions on how they lose the game. The English sailed up and challenged Gonville directly, discovering 2 sea areas and putting themselves in a position where they're not far from discovering the Hudson Bay. Now, that's hard to find. It's got like a +2 malice on it, but it's worth a few victory points, so it seems worth it. And then in addition to that, if you can drop into, well, the other option is Quebec is worth a couple victory points. So basically there's a few options there. Both of them are probably going to get some points. It's just who gets which. All right, well, I'm ready to load this one up, and it's just about out.